Copa Libertadores is the biggest Champions League tournament in the Western Hemisphere. There has been rumblings for years that MLS should join the tournament, and this only amplified when Lionel Messi signed with Inter Miami in the summer of 2023. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MLS Moves. Please make sure you like this video down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of my videos. I brought my friend and MLS journalist Fabian Rankel to discuss if it will happen and should it happen for MLS. Now, on to the video. Favi, we got an interesting topic to talk about today, man. Something that gets people wound up and, confrontational, I guess. It's about MLS joining Copa Libertadores. But before we get into that, man, how are things going? How was your holidays?
Oh, good, man. It's always nice to unwind a little bit. I saw a lot of people kind of getting a little bit of a break from soccer, so that was a little nice to see. Yeah, family time is always good, so I had a blast. What about yourself?
Good. I asked a question on Twitter or X. I said, did anybody get any cool soccer gear? I had like 100 people respond with a bunch of stuff, man. Jerseys,
Oh yeah.
scarves, shirts, soccer ball, cleats, all kinds of different things, which was really cool. So it's nice to see a bunch of people, probably most of the audience in America get a bunch of soccer stuff and just show how much interest and how much excitement there is for the sport, which is always nice to see. I personally didn't get any soccer gear for Christmas this year, sadly.
Oh,
Um,
actually, I did get a jersey. I got a Suarez like legendary jersey. It was pretty cool.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody buy me anything like that. I got a bunch of some weird, odd stuff this year. But to the subject at hand, MLS Copa Libertadores. So I want to read this article real quick about them potentially joining Major League Soccer playing in Copa Libertadores and get your thoughts on it. We'll read it. And there was another report that came out kind of, I won't say shooting it down, but this article is from, I think it's El Futbolero, I think is how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about Spanish isn't as good as
Oh,
it
you did
should
great.
be. So this is what it said. It said CONMEBOL decision to allow Messi to play in the Copa Libertadores with Inter Miami. The prospect of seeing Lionel Messi and compete in Copa Libertadores, South America's most prestigious club tournament, has always been a tantalizing prospect for football fans. Now, according to reports of Passion Football, this is a possibility, and it could become a reality in 2026, thanks to a CONMEBOL initiative to integrate teams from Liga MX and MLS into the competition. Now, we got that report, but we got another report from Lizzie Bencherano, who works for ESPN, if I'm not mistaken, at this
Yep.
currently. Used to be a colleague of yours at 90 Minutes. She said, sources tell me there is no current plan to include Liga MX and MLS teams in the upcoming editions of Copa Libertadores. They clarified that Inter Miami has not been invited to participate, contrary to what other reports state. So let me ask you this. First of all, how would you feel about MLS and Liga MX playing in Copa Libertadores?
Oh man, it would be awesome. I mean, as a reporter for Liga MX during League's Cup, and then for MLS during the regular season, yeah, man, it's something that this hemisphere definitely needs. I mean, we all know that Libertadores is a different gravy, like Cheyenne was saying in your World Cup video. It's a different atmosphere, and to have MLS guys compete with the best teams in the Western Hemisphere, I mean, of course you want that. I mean, anybody that's a fan of MLS should want that because knives sharpen knives. So it's something that I think we should be looking forward to in the future, and it's something that the commissioner should get done.
Now, before I give my take on this, I want you guys listening to let me and Favi know, do you want Major League Soccer and Liga MX fans? Because we do have some Liga MX fans watching the channel. Let us know if you want both of these leagues to participate in Copa Libertadores. And if you don't like either of these leagues and you're just a fan of a league down in South America, do you want these leagues to participate in your tournament? Let us know down below one way or the other. So this is the best tournament, like you said, in the Western Hemisphere. CONCACAF, they've really tried to expand it, make it more serious. give more resources to it. I don't recall what the exact amount is for winning it. I want to say it was like 5 to 6 million if you're the champion of CONCACAF. But as we both know, Liga MX was participating in Copa Libertadores like 10 years ago. I think Tigres made it to the final and lost to River Plate, I want to say. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was an Argentine team, and they lost. And everybody was saying how that kind of helped raise the level even more because you had another good league participate in this big tournament. And I'm all for it. I want this to happen because CONCACAF is very limited. You have 2 leagues, but in South America, how many good leagues do you have? And you would be adding even more to the pot, right? But the only thing that could kind of prevent this from happening is the FIFA president and the CONCACAF president both have to approve it to happen. Now, the FIFA president, they say won't do this because then it's going to open up Pandora's box of Saudi teams playing in the UEFA Champions League or other teams joining the UEFA Champions League by paying, because the Saudi teams could maybe just pay their way in and then it would kind of, screw everything up. Or CONCACAF wouldn't let it happen because if these CONCACAF leagues participate in Copa Libertadores, that kind of devalues CONCACAF because now everybody's going to be looking forward to this tournament and not our Champions League. So there's a couple hurdles, but man, I think they got to try to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, can you have CONCACAF Champions League every other year and then do Libertadores every other year, right? Like you can, but then you're taking away money from CONCACAF. So it's tough because you're right. I mean, everybody wants more and more games, but when is enough? When is too much? When is it too many games to play in a single season? But man, would it be nice to see Lionel Messi filling out, Bombonera with just Boca fans yelling at him, right? Like it'd be something to see. No, it's truly interesting. It's something that's going to move our nation forward in soccer if we get to play against these guys, and also it helps us kind of recruit these guys. I mean, if let's say you're a young player for Boca and Inter Miami comes to town and you see the kind of the guys, the way they're organized, and you see that they're a legit organization with everything in the back end, that could entice you to come to MLS and see, hey, maybe this is a little more better run than the Argentinian league, and it seems like there's like more opportunity to grow and make more money as a person. So yeah, I like it all around. I think it's definitely a great opportunity to advertise to those South American players that maybe think about coming to MLS too. Because if you really look at it now, Leagues Cup and all the inner kind of continental championships that we've seen a lot of Liga MX to MLS transfers these days. I mean, we're seeing a lot of back and forth. I think there's a rumor about this America guy, Lichnowsky. I don't know if I'm saying it right, going to LAFC. Maybe that doesn't happen before, Leagues Cup and the CONCACAF Champions Cup kind of got revamped, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting to see MLS kind of becoming a global name outside of the U.S. before it is in the U.S.
Well, also too, I think that, like you said, Leagues Cup, they could theoretically ditch the Champions League, which I don't know if I want that to happen. But if we're going to Copa Libertadores, then hell yeah, I want it to happen. I think that the domestic tournament could be Leagues Cup, and the international tournament could be Copa Libertadores. So that way you're kind of hitting both sides. And it would honestly, Favi, if we ditch the Champions League that we currently have, I think that would elevate Leagues Cup because that would be the only tournament that these two teams would face each other. They wouldn't do it in the CONCACAF Champions Cup anymore. So that is one plus to it. Also, I think that we need to have as many good leagues in a Champions League as we possibly can. Brazil is a top 6 league in the world, top 7 league in the world. Argentina is probably top 10. MLS and Liga MX is probably just outside the top 10. In order to really raise the quality of the league and even compete with UEFA Champions League one day, which I'm not saying we're going to do that. Like, I mean, obviously everybody knows that's the best and it's by far the best, but we're never going to even get close to them if we don't do something like this.
Right.
Liga MX and MLS, regardless of what you think about them and what their place in the world is, those two leagues join the Copa Libertadores, they're automatically going to be the third and fourth best league in the region. Like they're going to be. So you just took your third and fourth league that you have right now, which is probably the Colombian league or the Uruguayan league, and you just knocked them down 2 spots and then put MLS and Liga MX in that pot. So you're adding better leagues to the equation, and that's going to make the tournament better. Now, logistically, they say it can never work. But man, come on, they've got money, they've got first class flights. There's ways to do this.
Well,
Now, this
Miami going to San Jose is 8 hours.
right?
Miami to Uruguay is 7. So it's like it's really not that
It
crazy.
just depends on where you live, right?
Right.
Yeah. So there's ways that they can do this. And now, look, if it was a whole season having to play like every team in the league having to do that travel, then sure, yes, that's too much. But we're only talking about 4 clubs in each league making the travel.
Right.
I think that they can make it work, man. And I think that this is, and how much money would that, like, what would the revenue be for a media deal for that tournament? Like
Right.
having Inter Miami, LA Galaxy, Club America, Tigres, Chivas playing Botafogo or Palmeiras or River Plate, Boca Juniors. Dude, that would be, I can't even imagine how popular that would be.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get a little taste of it with the Club World Cup when Botafogo plays against Inter Miami, and then when Palmeiras plays against, or excuse me, I might have that flipped. Botafogo plays Seattle, and then Palmeiras plays against Inter Miami. So it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a blast. You're gonna see fans that never really show up because their Brazilian team's playing. And to be honest, I think it would help bring players to MLS. A lot of people already know that the Brazilian league is better than the MLS league. Like you're already seeing guys from Europe go to the Brazilian league. Like look at Memphis Depay, look at Dimitri Payet. Like these are guys who MLS should be getting, but they're going to Brazil first. Shoot, Suarez went to Brazil first and then goes to MLS because their idea is that the MLS is a inferior league to Brazil. And the only way to change that is to, play them in Libertadores and then win, So personally, I think it would help recruiting some older kind of European stars, as you say, to MLS right out the gate instead of them going down to South America first. So it is interesting. Botafogo is probably the best team in the West, right? And their best player is Thiago Almada, a guy who played for MLS.
We're familiar with that guy. I think we know that guy.
Yeah, but we all knew he was, slated for Europe, and he went down to Botafogo, right? These teams still have buying power. These teams still have tons of talent. Like we need to be playing against these teams. I mean, Memphis Depay is down there scoring goals, doing crazy things on social media. Yeah, so no, it's crazy to see. It's fun to see the Brazilian league. I think the Brazilian league has actually something's happened where this Brazilian league now is in your face. I mean, it's hard to avoid Instagram reel with Memphis Depay, scoring a banger, right? So it's really come up in the last couple of years too.
Well, you know what I like about that though, Favi? So MLS has tried to cling on to Liga MX to try to get some of that crossover fanship and or viewership and just really try to build a partnership with them. I think that's played out. I think it's played out. I think that not to say that there's not going to be some Liga MX fans that could support MLS, but I think what's going to happen's already happened for now. It's going to probably take some more time. Some of the Liga MX fans you say that live in the Bay Area or Los Angeles, it's going to be a generation. Like they're just going to have to grow up with these teams, and then they will probably naturally be fans of the team, but their parents are probably going to always support the Liga MX team first. But what I would do is I would be trying to partnership at every avenue with the Brazilian league because it, like you said, it's the best league in this hemisphere. It's probably a top 7 league in the world. I rate it higher than the Eredivisie. I rate it higher than, hell, if you took PSG out of the French league, it would probably be better than the French league, which is crazy to think about. So it's kind of fringe, like top 5, top 6. That's who I would be partnering with. I would be doing everything I possibly can to build a great relationship with the Brazilian league. And I think that would raise the quality. I would be inviting some of their teams up here for the summer or whenever you can and have them start playing games here. And that is who I'd be trying to latch on to now because I think it would help them out and it would raise the quality. Liga MX, that relationship has really started to stall. Hell, even we can talk about this maybe in another episode about trying to maybe integrate some of these teams in Leagues Cup, but do whatever you can to play some games against these Brazilian teams.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're talking about Liga MX being, the league of choice out here West Coast, but the East Coast, Florida, shoot, the Argentinian league is something that you might get a lot of fans. The Brazilian league. I mean, how many Brazilians are there in Orlando, right? I mean, we know one that's a good friend of the show. I mean, Tack, right? His family, they're all big fans of the team that,
Palmeiras.
Palmeiras came from, or excuse me, Palmeiras, Endrick came from. So yeah, I mean, there is so many opportunities to get different fan bases involved with MLS. Just like how Liga MX and Leagues Cup gets the Mexican fan at least interested in what players are playing against them, the same thing could go for South America, right? And not just one country. We're talking about Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, a whole bunch of countries taking a look at your players. And who knows, maybe your scouts have better connections and better friendships with all these teams now. So yeah, 100%. Even as a guest of honor for one time, it would be awesome. And actually, I was going to bring this up. I was thinking about this earlier. If they pull this off, I think the Messi to Miami deal was worth it. Even whatever type of traction he gets with the American market, if they pull this off because of Inter Miami, and we're always going to be a Libertadores, or at least we're thought about for that tournament, the Messi to Miami transfer was worth it.
No, I definitely agree with that. And one other thing too, whenever we hear people debate on if a player should come to MLS or Liga MX, or should they stay in Europe, one of the main arguments they always make is no, he shouldn't come over here because he's not going to be playing in Champions League. He's not going to be playing in UEFA Champions League. So what Champions League your teams qualify for is a huge indicator, or can dictate where you go or what people want, where they want you to go. We've heard that people say, yeah, I didn't want to go to MLS because I wanted to play in Champions League. So if we have a Champions League that is, a better quality than what it currently is, playing these Brazilian teams, playing these Uruguayan teams, playing these Colombian teams, playing these Argentinian teams with, obviously Liga MX thrown into that as well, that is going to be crazy quality, man. And that's going to help these players, or urge them to want to come here. Maybe not, obviously the Champions League in Europe is going to be more prestigious for the near future, but I'm saying it's not going to be a huge step down for certain guys if they're going to play, Botafogo or River Plate, Boca Juniors, Palmeiras, Fluminense. These are good teams, man. These are really good teams. Like, I believe if the Brazilian League was in the UEFA Champions League, we would be seeing similar results to like some of the Portuguese powerhouses like Porto or Lisbon or I think that, or Sporting. We would see some great performances from these Brazilian teams. So the quality is very good, and I think that is how you raise the quality. You have to play these good teams if you want to get better. That's why I say that I think that the Liga MX relationship has kind of stalled out, because the leagues are so even now. They're not really making each other better. We need to throw some new equations, or throw some new things in the equation, and try to do something a little different to raise the quality.
Yeah, look, I've even thought about bringing the Saudi teams for Leagues Cup, right? Like something like that. I know that's a joke, right? It's a joke to you, but bringing maybe some Japanese teams into Leagues Cup. I mean, if it's a money grab, let's do a money grab, right? Let's invite some different teams into Leagues Cup, so you get those kind of experiences, and it's something that I'm always down for new experiences when it comes to new clubs being involved in the tournaments here. Maybe on the international stage, I'm not too crazy about it, but on the club kind of level, like inviting Saudi to the Concacaf Gold Cup, like, is it really going to help, right? Like,
No.
But club team wise, I've always been a big fan. But even teams like from Uruguay, Peñarol, Nacional, they're gonna be players against MLS teams, and it's gonna open up their doors to an American market. So it is interesting. But they already kind of know this, because the day that Inter Miami is going to be playing in Vegas against Club America, there is an international friendly of two Brazilian teams at Chase Stadium. So I mean, we all know that there is pockets of money to be earned with having either South American teams in our tournaments or us in their tournaments.
Well, also too, I think once they change the schedule, I think it's going to help quite a bit with all these different tournaments, which the calendar might change in 2026. We'll have to see if that ends up going through. there's been a lot of things MLS proposed that they said they were going to change and they kind of backtracked on it. But I think that this could help speed that process up. And 2026, we know how important it is. They're gonna have to do something. They cannot ignore our South American friends. They cannot ignore doing something with them just because of all the talent that we pull from those leagues down there. We've seen more South Americans come to MLS in the last decade, even last 5-6 years than we've ever seen. And it's because that's where all the talent I remember reading this on a Reddit forum like 15 years ago, man. It was crazy, or maybe it was 12 years ago, whatever it was. It said that MLS needs to stop chasing European players. They need to start going for South American players because the league will never be good until they can convince some of these South American players to come to Major League Soccer. And it's true, man. Yeah. That's what really changed the league. Miguel Miron, Joseph Martinez, Facundo Torres.
Joseph was big.
He was. He left Europe early, a Venezuelan international, left Europe at 23, 24 years old, came to MLS, absolutely tore it up and developed here. Like he was never this good. Now people are going to say, well, it's easier, but he was never scoring goals like this at any point in his career, even in Venezuela. So he came here, he developed. Miguel Miron obviously played well enough to get a huge move to Newcastle. Looks like he might be coming back to MLS soon, or he might that deal might be hijacked by a Brazilian club. Either way, that is the goal, key to success. I'm tired of worrying about Europe at this moment. I want to try to form a partnership with some South American teams and try to just worry about our own region or hemisphere. Yeah. That's what I want to do. And I'm tired of just focusing on Liga MX too. I'm tired of that. We got to have bigger aspirations than that.
Yeah, especially when the iron's hot with Messi here. They want Messi. I mean, that's obvious. They want Messi to play in this tournament. So let's take it. I mean, this is a situation where if it happens, all MLS teams that paid for Messi's salary was worth it. Like you can't complain now at that point if MLS has a seat at Libertadores every single time now. So that is a situation where Messi's salary being divided by 32 teams was well worth it, in my opinion. Another thing is, too, a lot of these Uruguayan, Colombian teams, yes, they have European players, but they also have a lot of players that play in South America. I mean, this might help a lot of MLS. If we're going toe-to-toe with these South American teams, it might help some MLS players actually still get call-ups with their international teams, making it so that more players stay in MLS and go to MLS. So 100%, this could be very enticing for those South American players to play in MLS if we're still playing at the highest possible quality in this region, right? So no, 100%, I'm totally for it. I think I actually do believe what Lizzie's saying, and it could be that at this moment there's nothing set up and they're all rumors, but that can quickly change, just like how the Club World Cup quickly changed things for Messi to be in it, right? So it's interesting to see.
I agree with that. I think that her post read is like as of right now, but not obviously down the line. Things could change. But imagine, man, LA Galaxy versus Nacional, LAFC versus Colo Colo of Chile. That's the kind of stuff that would be cool. Boca Juniors versus Inter Miami.
Gabriel Peck versus Vasco da Gama or Gremio, right? Evander versus his team Vasco da Gama that he grew up with, right? Like these little storylines. Lucho Acosta versus Boca, right? Like all these little things would be so cool to see. Christian Espinoza, a guy for San Jose, playing against his team that he played with Boca, right? So it's interesting to see.
And also, too, I think with the revenue that this could get, maybe somebody would say, or there would be a question of how does this help the South American teams? Well, it seems like it would help mostly the North American teams more than help the South American teams. Well, I think it would help both because we have some historic clubs in our country. There's definitely historic clubs in Mexico. And I think that there would be a lot of a revenue bump for something like this. And I think that it would help give these players another form of exposure, like you said, MLS teams, European teams, whoever's watching. So I think it would be mutually beneficial. I do think this would help everybody across the board.
And I think American teams do travel. I mean, like LAFC traveled to Costa Rica. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like 1,000 or 2,000 guys went out to Costa Rica. I feel like American fans would travel for something like this. Shoot, I've never been to Argentina. Let's do it. Like that's what they would say. I mean, you got free housing in Uruguay. We're gonna throw parties, MLS party out in Uruguay. We got to do it.
What's the drive from the house to Argentina?
Oh, it's Uruguay's real close.
Yeah,
Like we're talking like a 30-minute ferry ride
that's not bad.
next to Buenos Aires. So yeah, I mean, we could easily stay in Uruguay and go over the boat in the morning and then watch the game and come back. Like it's totally normal.
Yeah, I just think this would add another element to it. I hope it happens. I hope it's done right. I don't understand how it would be a downside to any teams involved because you're adding more quality. Now, if we were like the worst league in the entire Western Hemisphere, then they would say, well, why do we need you? But we're
Right.
talking about opening South America up to the North American market. We're talking about the United States and Mexico. This would be huge for everybody, man, and it would be crazy. I can only imagine. What do you think the ratings or we talked about the MLS TV ratings not being as good as we'd like. What do you think the ratings would be for a final of Inter Miami versus a River Plate? An Inter
Oh,
Miami versus a Boca Juniors.
it'd be huge. I mean, even a final with Botafogo and Miami, right? Like that's gonna be huge. No, it's interesting. I mean, but Miami has to do their part, right? They have to win.
No,
So
they do. They have to win. But just obviously, hypothetically thinking
yeah,
of these matchups or the Galaxy versus Boca Juniors, just
yeah.
something
Look,
like that.
the Galaxy would open up a can of worms because everybody, I think, knows about the Galaxy, right? So I think you'll get the casual knowing the brand that is Galaxy to watch Galaxy River. I think that would just get all the casuals.
No, I think so too, man. I think it'd be really cool. So before I let you go, I'm assuming you're all in favor of this. You want MLS and Liga MX to join Copa Libertadores.
100%. And I think it might even help Mexican fans become a fan of MLS because it's like, no, he's our little brother, right? When MLS or MX teams lose in that tournament, right? So I think it can't hurt. It really can't hurt, in my opinion.
And okay, and last thing too, what do you think the chances out of 100%, what are the chances you believe this will happen?
Yeah, I think it's pretty high. I think it's pretty high because we have Lionel Messi and he's a god in Argentina. And I think every single
He's a
person,
god of the entire world,
yeah,
honestly. Let's be
but,
real.
but as long as Messi stays in Miami and he's going to get that extension that we've heard rumored, I think this is very possible. And I want to say closer to 75 to 80%.
I'm with you. I don't think it's a matter of if, but when it
Yeah.
happens. I think it's probably not going to happen in 2025, but I think 2026 it could happen, especially with that schedule change in MLS. I think that this is very likely to happen. I'll be interested to see how they do it. And I have to preface this too because we didn't talk about this. I don't want just one MLS team to be invited. It's either you invite Liga MX and MLS teams or don't do it. Like I don't want it to be a novelty item where it's just Inter Miami being invited as a one-off. I want it to feel like we're building something, not just a one-off. Oh yeah, they're gonna be our honorary guest participant in this tournament, and then after this, it's over with. They're not gonna be invited anymore. I want to actually build this out.
Right. No, I agree. But I don't think that's possible because, like you said earlier, then you would have Saudi teams in UEFA all the time, which you should have. But that's a different argument for a different day. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's gonna if it's gonna happen, it's gonna stay happening. Because shoot, who knows? Maybe Inter Miami goes against Neymar, right? And then you're gonna have the same situation. Do they want Neymar in this tournament? Of course they do.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they're able to seal the deal with Neymar to enter Miami. Well, Favi, I appreciate you for joining me for another episode. You've been a regular guest here lately, which has been nice to see your face and chop it up with you. But before I let you go, where can the people find your articles? Where can they follow you out on social media?
Yeah, you can find me at Fabian Rankel, like you see here in this video. You can find my writing at SBI. So went ahead and I work with SBI Soccer. I had a kind of a nice little interview with Evander for the Portland Timbers. So if you're interested in that, take a look at that. But thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad I have more free time so I can always be on.
Hey, go check him out and go follow him. I think he's getting close to 10K
Oh,
followers
yeah.
again. So go help him get to 10K on Twitter and go check out his article on SBI. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. Should they join the Copa Libertadores, MLS, and Liga MX? That is, let us know in the comment section, one way or the other. But until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.